What inspires and excites you?
What inspires and excites me? It depends. It depends on whether that's a professional or personal question. Yeah,
you
sure.
choose.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is it too general?
No. I was just laughing because I actually, for me, I guess it's personal. No matter what, I'm inspired by learning new things from many different people. So that could mean for me, like I tell people I get twitchy if I don't use my passport at least every 18 months. And really what that means is that to go to another country and to like learn from another culture or just see things that are way older than we get to see here in the US is very inspiring to me. You know, going to places like Myanmar or China or, you know, Japan or even Eastern Europe or anywhere, like you just see things, you're like, wow, that's really inspiring that this culture has lived here. They, you know, they work in a different way. From the day to day, since unfortunately my job doesn't allow me to, you know, travel around the world all the time. Not yet, right?
Maybe this is an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
This is a venture. You can. Right? How can you do incubation?
Maybe. Around the world.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it goes back to that culture. I'm really inspired by when I've always loved helping teams form, you know, in companies, like whether culturally or just helping them feel like they've really accomplished something when they've built the product. You know, it's not just, oh, we got it done. It's like, wow, look, people are using it and, you know, that's amazing and our customers are impacted. Then what I discovered is it's even more inspiring to have an entrepreneur say, you've made an impact on me and my ability to make this company happen. Right? Because now you've just helped someone instead of, you know, helping a large company or a team where, right, again, it's like how much influence they have. It's a smaller influence. You know, there's a safer environment. Their salaries are paid every day. But and I think this is actually the reason why we have such a strong mentor community here is, again, to have an entrepreneur or somebody, right, that's taken the risk for their family, their salary, right, probably some of their own clout and their ego and pride. Their identity. And then they, again, come to you and say, you have helped me. That's extremely inspiring. Or to see them be successful and know that you were able to be a part of that. That's, you know, to me, like, you know, that's why actually I did it for free when I started as a mentor. Like, that's almost all the payment
here at Boomtown?
Yeah. So...
That's very cool. So you were one of these mentors that you speak of. That how many are on the books at the moment?
200 to 300. We have people coming to us, like more and more wanting to be involved because they see what we're doing. But no, I wandered in the first class and I acted as a mentor and a teacher in different areas of product development for the first 2 classes. And, you know, I saw the opportunity, you know, Boomtown as its own, you know, building it up as a different type of accelerator and different approach. And, you know, what if we did this differently to really, you know, what does it mean to get the opportunity to redesign how to help entrepreneurs, you know, the first time, you know, build a company around that, you know, is extra, inspiring.
Well, that gets into an interesting, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but there are lots of these incubators and accelerators. So, I mean, when I was living in Shanghai, they had them there. There's a huge entrepreneurial ecosystem there. I have a buddy of mine from when I was living in Kunming. Now he's working at like Hackerspace. He's going down. He built some kind of a vending machine that actually will cook for you with robotic arms, and he's building this at Hackerspace in Shenzhen. And there's stuff in Berlin I saw, and there's stuff in Tampa and all over the country. Yeah. And so what is it that Boomtown is doing that's different? What's unique? Sure.
So the way we look at the accelerator market is that there's been different waves, right? Like any industry, right? So there's kind of this accelerator industry. You know, there was kind of the first wave accelerator, which was kind of like, okay, we got investment and we invested in these companies and we, you know, threw some people at them and, you know, hopefully they got some new connections and yay. Okay. And then we started seeing a second wave accelerator, which was the accelerators run in a specific space, a specific vertical. So, XYZ corporate company would say, run an accelerator for us, in this space. So it was in like financial technology or like banking or, name the industry.
Healthcare.
Right? Healthcare, right? And so you saw kind of that side. We consider ourselves to be a third wave accelerator. We get the opportunity to look back at, right, people that started before us. It's one of those, were you a first mover or do you learn from the people that moved first? And, said, okay, let's redesign the business model, or, what does it really mean to be a great accelerator? And so we've taken a lot of different pieces and parts and kind of created our own hybrid of what these different accelerators have learned. So a couple of things we learned is, so a lot of accelerators. So actually, first of all, so an accelerator specifically is a time boxed program, right? It has a start date and has an end date that generally ends with a demo day. Incubators don't have a date assigned to them. Usually you're there, right? You're incubated until you're born. Right. So that's, sometimes people get that confused, and unfortunately there are incubators calling themselves accelerators, and it's created confusion in the market. So we do believe that there's a bit of a bubble. We know there's an accelerator bubble right now, right? There absolutely is one. We're already seeing some of them weed themselves out. One recently closed last week that was one of just internationally. Like, so there was actually one of the second wave corporate accelerators shut down. Okay. Cause they kind of said, well, we're not sure, how do we find that many companies just in our space? And, they were struggling with the business model there and the value piece.
Was it more on the pipeline of not enough entrepreneurs with good ideas, or not enough of an interest in the market for?
Well, I mean, we could dig into it. I think it was a combination of cultural antibodies from that company.
Cultural antibodies from that company. I love the poetry of it. Which
more or less, meant that sometimes, the company wanted specific like ROI in a specific amount of time, and versus that company wasn't as open to innovation maybe as they thought they were when someone sold them on the idea of having an accelerator as a part of their company, right? So again, that's why it was a good idea, right? Great, let's use our funds to, right? Because most large companies are now in this operating stage. They're not as in innovation. So what we saw is there's multiple opportunities there. Well, where there's an opportunity just to help a company with the connections and learning how to pitch and these things. But what we saw was when the accelerator was mentor driven, which meant that it was like you came in and you had some mentor dating and mingling, and you hopefully met some people that helped. That was very serendipitous. And I was like, okay, well, how is that really the right way to run it? What are we really trying to help with entrepreneurs? And realize that we could instead be more program driven, how we looked at the 3 months itself as an opportunity for them to learn and be accelerated, but then find a way that it's supported by our mentor community. Right? The right mentors come in for those companies. So how could we, right, increase, again, accelerate the likelihood that they meet the right people, and that there's a natural flow to the 3 months that gets them to a better outcome, not just, well, we hope we introduce you to the right people. Then on the second part, so if you look again at the corporate accelerators, you get groupthink in situations like that, right? You get you can get unhealthy competition, right? Because if you have 10 companies all fighting for the same investment, and then you're trying to find, too many companies at once, again, is your funnel good? Is the company really getting what they want? So, well, great. What does it mean to partner with a corporation and really get the value they're looking for, as well as the entrepreneurs are looking for and the community is looking for? So when we partner with a corporation, they become a part of our general program. which means they get to participate not just in companies that come in their vertical, like health tech, but those health tech companies get the benefit of all the other entrepreneurs that are starting companies. So they're merged in with the ad tech companies and, we've had parking companies and hiring companies and, video companies, whatever it is, or IoT companies, right? There's something, right? We all know this, for collaboration and innovation to occur, you want different people in the room that think differently.
The diversity of perspective is critical.
So don't remove the diversity, but leverage that you now have a partner that says, we want to help companies get access to the thing they need that's very specific to their industry. But, instead of like carving them out and being like, well, you all have to sit in the corner because you're a health tech company. It's like, well, why don't we give them the best of both worlds, as well as, and not demanding that there's that compartmentalization just because they happen to be a health company or a financial company or a IoT company.
There's a question I have here. You mentioned something about ROI, these corporate clients that come in and they're seeking ROI.
Sure.
In our previous conversation, I recall that you were expressing sort of this balance between focusing on customer experience and focusing on ROI. Did you, the pros and cons of what you focus on as far as your goal when you're developing a product or something of this nature? Did you talk about that?
Yeah. So that's a little bit of a shift from
what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Then continue with what you were, by the way, is that yours?
Yeah, that is mine.
Okay.
Well, so let me speak quickly to the value to the corporations. So,
okay.
So it's interesting. So something that's a little bit different about Boomtown, and I'll say we struggle with this all the time, is that we have many customers as an accelerator. We have the entrepreneurs, we have our investors that invest in those companies we bring in, our mentor community, our investor community, and ourselves as a team, as well. Mm-hmm. But we put the entrepreneurs first. So there have been cases where we have gone to like our investors or mentors and said, we know you have something interesting to say, but now is not the right time for them to hear that. Or, and I laugh because I've told people sometimes I can be unpopular or people can be frustrated with me, because they'll meet somebody and they'll say, this person, they have something interesting to say. Let's schedule them and can they come in and speak? And
this may be an investor, for example?
No, it'll be a mentor usually. Like say someone's like, oh, they have something interesting to say about marketing or how to growth hack on the product. So when I say we're program driven, we'll look at, okay, where are the companies? Are they at this stage where having someone talk to them about marketing is helpful? It doesn't mean this guy doesn't have something interesting to say. But right, we mentioned earlier that the most valuable resource that those companies have is their time. And if we throw and take an hour every time someone has something interesting to say to them, they don't have time to build their company. And so one of the most important things that we can do as an accelerator is actually to help them know, or they trust us, that when somebody is put in the room in front of them, it's for a very specific reason. We've talked to that person before, and it's at the right time, right? There's a timing element. It's not just like, oh, it just happens this guy walked in today.
It's sort of a coaching. It's almost like it's complementary to removing impediments, but it's on the other side of providing, like a Scrum Master is supposed to remove impediments, right? So it's a little bit like you're providing the right nourishment at the right time, because if that nourishment comes at the wrong time, it becomes an impediment. I guess.
And we also,
or distraction or something.
Right. And before, when you were talking about, gosh, as an entrepreneur, I have to do everything. Mm-hmm. When you come into Boomtown, we'll say, don't worry about that piece right now. I actually want you to take that hat off for a while, because in 2 weeks, we'll have you put that hat on so you can take a different hat off. And so, and those mentors will come when the program is also in that place. And so there's this natural progression that, sometimes makes them uncomfortable because they're like, shouldn't I be? And we're like, it's okay. Like, don't worry about that piece right now of the company. Yes, you're right. You need to focus on that. But I actually want to give you permission to not think about it right now. And that's just, right? That's nice to have, that's how we can help them, is to decide where to work on the company when to talk to certain mentors right? So it becomes less of this haphazard, like, don't get me wrong, like, it is hard to go through an accelerator, and they are like, at a limit, at an energy limit, the amount they're pushing in, but we do our best to focus that and to make sure that if there's someone talking to them, if there's something we've asked of them, there's a reason why. And we also tell them to ask us. So we create an environment where, they'll be like, why do I need to listen to that person? Or how does that value my business? And
to challenge you.
Yeah.
So you may be wrong, for example, and if they make a good point, you may say, okay, we'll delay it a little bit. Or you say, no, you do need this now.
Well, no, it's actually a little different than that, right? We have 10 companies that are at different stages, at any time. So it may be that based on someone's background that they have expertise in a certain area, and we'll have a conversation. They're like, gosh, Erin, I already know this skill, or I have this skill. I could teach this. And we'll have a conversation. I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're right. I think the better use of your time is to go and spend more time on another part of your company. Or they kind of be like, well, Erin, why do you like what? I'm like, well, how much thought have you given here? What is the work you've done? And, we may decide like, no, you're right. I should sit in on that. Or, oh, there's someone else on my team that would really understand that better than I'll have them sit on in it. So it's, right. It's a negotiation. It's still up to them how they want to build their company, but we try to build trust that we bring in the right people at the right time, to help them ultimately build all aspects of their company, over the 3 months, and we adapt to that. So it's not just about, oh, we have, here's your class schedule, here's a suggestion, progression. But if you also tell us, I need more help here, or wait, you didn't tell me anything about this, or that guy sucked, we're like, great, let's adapt. And that's all we can do is assume that, we're here as their partner during that journey.